Hello, everyone, and welcome to Co-Creation Station, the podcast where we talk about the law of attraction, the art of allowing, spiritual magic, the mind-body-spirit connection, and how to best enjoy this mystical, miraculous, mysterious, crazy, sometimes confounding, but always incredible journey we call life. My name is Collin. I'm a teacher, tarot oracle card reader, and I'm also a singer and guitarist in the rock band Red Treasure. And I am located in beautiful, sunny North Hollywood, California.
My name is Stephanie Orlina. I am a transformational life coach, and I love helping people shift away from negative thinking. And I'm in San Diego, California. I'm having a major heat wave.
All right, we want to thank you so much for listening and watching to the podcast here. At this time, we're posting a brand new episode for you every single Monday morning. We appreciate you doing whatever your platform allows you to do to support the podcast, liking us, following us, subscribing to us, leaving us a comment, writing us a review. We really enjoy hearing from you, and it all helps other people find us. Each week, we start our discussion here on the podcast from a different jumping off point, and this week, Stephanie came across something she was reading, and it sparked some thoughts. Stephanie, I'll turn it over to you as to what you're reading.
So I was telling Colin in friend time that I have two of Abraham's, running joke with Colin and I. This one is Money and the Law of Attraction. Learning to attract wealth, health, and happiness. And I was flipping through it the other day and came across page 94, and it says an example of my new story about money. It's like two pages of just Abraham going on about all these really positive, uplifting thoughts and feelings about money, new ways of looking at it. I highly recommend checking it out. And I'm just gonna pull out a couple of lines because copyright, we can't read the whole thing to you, although I'd love to. One of the lines is, it is fun to imagine a lot of money flowing to me. I like knowing that I am the creator of my own reality. Now that I understand the formula for creating, now that I understand that I do get the essence of what I want and think about, I am sure that money will flow to me easily and effortlessly. And I was reading it the other day, and I read the whole 2 pages, and I just felt so much better when I was done than when I started. And I thought, wow, feels really great. And I love that one line. It is fun to imagine a lot of money flowing.
Yeah, that really jumped out at me. It occurred to me that, like, I think most people, and I'm probably talking 99.99% of people, feel good when they receive or get money. Like they have a feeling of fun or happiness or joy or whatever, or relief sometimes. And yet so many people, including myself sometimes, when somebody starts talking about money, my mind can get very negative about it.
Yeah.
It's interesting that, like, getting money feels great, but talking and thinking about money sometimes, like, oh.
Well, and I think it's because so many of us have this really lack mentality about money,
Yeah.
or deprivation, or it's hard to get, or we feel, there's not enough. And so we kind of, kind of shrink in and just kind of like hold tightly, which is the opposite of what these these 2 pages are talking about.
Yeah.
One of the lines is, I like the idea that money is as available to me as the air I breathe. Because Abraham talks about how, it's not like you hold your breath and thinking, oh, I've got to take in all the air I can breathe right now for the rest of my life because there may not be enough. We don't even think about that. We just expect like there's always going to be air to breathe, and, it's there as I need it. And I'm like, wow, what a different way of thinking about it than money. It's just so I'm going to keep reading it here and there just because there's so many old stories that I have about money that I want to change, and that I have been changing. That
It also reminds me of an exercise you had me do when I was your coaching client around this, which is, and I'm not sure where you got it, but I think it was Abraham. I think Abraham Hicks suggested it in one of our workshops or something, where the idea is, like, the first day you do an exercise where you give yourself a fictional $1,000, and you have to spend all of it, which you can put it in savings or whatever, or investments or whatever, but you have to allocate the entire fictional $1,000, and you have to use real amounts. Like you can't just say, "Well, I'd buy furniture for my living room with $1,000." It's like, nope, you got to go online and find out, what do you want? Do you want a couch? What kind of couch? How much does it cost? And you actually write it down. And then like the second day, you get a fictional. So you've gotten that fictional 1,000, you bought or allocated all that. Then you get $2,000 the next day, fictionally, and you allocate all that. And that actually helped me a lot transform money, my thinking into money in general, have it be fun. Because usually when people are thinking, or I'll just talk about myself, like in the past, especially when I think about money, when I used to think about money, I would think about like my monthly budget, and or not having a monthly budget.
And so that kind of is the limited thinking, right?
Restriction, right?
Yeah.
You're thinking about like, well, I only have X amount of money from my paycheck
and
or
that's
whatever.
it. I don't know how anyone.
And I have to spend this on rent and this on whatever, and this goes into my 401k. I can't touch that, and this is going to have to go for car repairs and whatever. And then you just kind of, like I used to think like, oh, and that's only going to leave me a small amount of money left over, and that's why I can't get things that I want, blah, blah, blah. But if you do that exercise, by doing that exercise, keep talking about myself, by doing that exercise, it made me see like, oh, if I can welcome in more money from the universe, and be more open to that, it can be this really fun thing. It doesn't have to be this thing that I habitually think about as just like you said, deprivation, lack, whatever, that's for me started with either thinking about my monthly budget or just like how little money I have left over, however that works for you. But that exercise was super fun. And what I realized too is like it led to a really great awareness that, because I had a bunch of things I needed at that point in my life when you had me start doing that, and like I took care of all of those in like the first week of that exercise, like because by day 7 I was getting $7,000 that day, plus I'd had all the 6,000, 5,000, 4,000 days before. So all the things that were like, I don't know, like I needed an extra lamp for my apartment, and I need, there were some things that are not fun, but I needed to buy them. And in the first 7 days, I bought all that stuff fictionally. Then the 8th, 9th, 10th days, I just got to spend the fictional money on things that I wanted, things that would make me happy, things that I would have fun doing or fun having or fun using. And that was a real light bulb for me too. It's like, oh, so much of that lack deprivation mentality becomes like a feedback loop or a self-fulfilling prophecy where, because you never think of having more, you're always thinking, well, I will never have enough because I always have this much left over at the end of the month or when I do my paycheck or whatever, after I've bought my groceries or whatever.
Yeah, and actually, I don't know if you said this or not, but it's like the first day, and they recommend like, well, people do it differently now, but back then it was like use an old check registry. If you have old checks, you could use it. And the first day was, you get $1,000, so you deposit it and you spend it. Then the second day you get $2,000, so every day it doubles.
Yeah.
And it's like, so by the time
Oh, that's right. Double. It's not plus 1,000. It doubles.
No, it's doubles. So then I forget what the exact amount was, but it was literally like $1 million or more dollars.
Yeah.
Probably several million, 10 million or something by the 30th day.
Yeah.
It's quite a bit of money. And it's sometimes, I remember, because I don't know if anyone has it. I know I have it. I don't know if you have it, Collin, but the Secret to Money app, you can go, so Rhonda Burns, who wrote The Secret, she has an app, and it's called The Secret to Money. And it's kind of a similar thing where you get a check, and it's a really great app. Check it out. It's free. And I use that. I love it. But they also have you write in there like manifested money, like savings, or someone gives you something, or you get a discount on something. There's so many ways that money comes in to us that we don't even think about. Someone buys you lunch or something, or but what else was I going to say? Yeah, so it's just changing the story. It's just one of those fun ways to start having, as it said, an example of my new story about money, shifting the energy and my thoughts around money. And that one stood out to me, and I've been saying it every day. it is fun to imagine a lot of money flowing to me, and even the thinking of like, oh, I love imagining that money is available as the air I breathe. Life flows in and money flows out, because I want that energy of, flowing out is like, oh, I'm gonna, go buy myself a massage, and so, there's abundance there. Someone's gonna get paid for that, and they're also gonna get a tip. Or I'm gonna go on vacation, and the hotel business is gonna get money, and the car rental, and all these things. And so, if I have this belief that, oh, well, if I'm wealthy, then I'll be stingy, or I'll be snooty or whatever. It's like, no, me being wealthy, I buy that car, and so it's helping the car salesperson and that and whoever made the car, and all the manufacturing line, everyone who works there. So we can be really generous when we have abundance. And that's
Yeah,
another way of looking at it.
that reminds me of another thing that I've seen people do. I think I've seen people do it in person. I think I've seen it on a video as well, where they do this exercise to demonstrate that money's energy and not really this thing of like, a possession that you either have or lose. It's actually just energy, where like the person running this exercise with like 7 different people or whatever will give the first person $1 and say, okay, person number 2 owns an office supply store. So what are you going to buy with the $1? And they say, I'm going to buy some pens. And so they give the $1 to the second person. They say, okay, you just got $1 from selling pens. Now you're going to the fruit market. What do you get? The third person runs the fruit market. What are you going to buy from them? They're like, oh, I'm going to buy an apple. And they're like, all right. They buy an apple. And then, each person going down the 7 people buys something different with the same dollar bill physically. And then you see that $1 bill bought $7 worth of things. And you actually saw it happen, and that sort of, I don't know, for me, that was a real light bulb of like, oh yeah, like it's not this thing of like how we often talk about it in our culture of like, oh, like you have to get money and then some people keep it and then some people can't get it. It's like it's a box that you have to like trade back and forth. It's not like that, because if you just have a box and you pass it down, like you have to take something out to put something in, right? It doesn't change. But that dollar actually changes as it goes, and it can buy different things. And it's the same $1 bill.
That's
So
awesome. I love that. I love
yeah,
that. And there's so many things that we can do with money. Like I was thinking, like I love having money. I love money. I love spending money. I love
mm,
saving money. I love investing money. I love sharing money. I love being generous with my, one of the things I did a long time ago was I got five $1 bills, and I wrote like a sweet little note in it, like you're awesome, on one of them, and folded it up, and wrote some little affirmations or whatever, or thank you, whatever. And then I dropped them at a shopping center, and just kind of casually dropped it on the ground. I didn't want anybody to see me. And then I went and sat like 15, 20 feet away and just kind of watched.
oh my gosh,
And this one I remember distinctly. It was a young girl. She was probably like 8 years old. She was with her mom, and they were walking, and the daughter found it, and she picked it up. I just got chills up my legs. And I see them, and she opens it up. They're like looking around, like, like what? And they open it up, and I don't, it said something like you're awesome or whatever. And she just had this huge smile on her face, and the mom, and they're like, where did this come from or whatever? And they were both so happy.
mm,
Oh my God, it was just a joy to experience. And so part of my vision is to carry around like 5 20s, or and a 50 or a 10 and a 5, and just when I'm out in my day, if I'm inspired and I see someone, to just either go over and hand this to them and say thank you. I just want to give this to you. I hope that you enjoy it, or whatever. I'm not sure actually
yeah,
how it will go down, but to be able to just hand money like that to someone that I feel drawn to do that to. And
yeah.
you know
Yeah, I mean, that's the other interesting thing, and I know I struggled with this too. Is like, on the one hand, years ago, I would think a lot in terms of that deprivation, like I don't have enough money, whatever. then there would be times where I would have money and I would actually have a need or even a want of something I want to do, and I wouldn't spend the money because of that kind of negative belief of like, oh, well, I might need it later. Money's always hard to get. I might as well not, whatever. And then I feel like I also had times where I deprived myself so much doing that then I would go to Barnes & Noble and buy 6 books I was never going to read, and blow a bunch of money on things I didn't really truly need or wasn't truly going to use. And so I think it's important to be able to practice healthily receiving money and also healthily spending it. Like, I know people who, I had a really good friend of mine who was like, I hate to say Ebenezer Scrooge, but that's all that comes to mind. Like, he just could not spend a dime on anything, like, other than just like the basics, like food, shelter, like, and there's just multiple stories of this person like receiving gifts from family and friends and like giving them back to people because he was so insulted that they had spent money on something he didn't absolutely 100% need. It's just like so crazy to me. Now, he had a lot of really great ideas about how to save money. Like, I learned things from him about good ways to save money. It's not like everything he did was toxic and bad.
What were one of them? Tell me one.
Well, I think it was just like an overall attitude of like, before you spend money, because I would spend money emotionally a lot years ago, meaning for people who don't understand that term, it means that, like I would be stressed out or in some emotional pain over something, and I would try to like distract myself, or however you want to think about it, by going and spending money on something I didn't need or want, just to do it. And so that led to that kind of habit. And observing this friend of mine who never spent a dime, I did see like, oh, so don't do that. Like, like don't buy things you don't want or need. Also, like, this goes to what you mentioned. Like, there were times where like he just needed something for a temporary period of time. So instead of going out and buying a new thing and spending all the money to buy that new thing, he would like borrow that thing from a friend, use it for the time he needed, and then and keep it in good shape and return it how he found it. But like, he'd return it, and he would save all that money that a lot of us, I think, would just go to the store and buy the thing because it's easier. Yeah. So I mean, he had good ideas about how to save money or how to conserve money in a good way. Yeah. But the problem is then he didn't have he couldn't release any of it. He couldn't spend any of it. He couldn't, like, if he had money, extra money, he couldn't spend it. And when people would give him gifts that weren't like a survival thing, he would refuse them and say, oh, go spend your money on someone else, something else.
I love what, I don't know where I heard this from. I think maybe from our mutual friends, is this, we don't say no to money.
Yeah. I heard that many years ago, and it's helped me so much since, because it's so, there's this weird thing that happens where like, sometimes when someone gives you a gift of money, it's uncomfortable to receive it. And we say no, and it's like, so I don't know if it was Abraham or somewhere along the line.
I don't remember where, but I've often over the last several years have just, when things have come up, and it's just in my head being, we don't say no to money, so thank you, thank you, like, thank you. Like, even when someone gives a compliment, it's just like, say thank you and then shut your mouth, like, not negate what they're saying. Because it's really offending the other person. We might say, "Oh, it's this, whatever," but it's offensive to the person who's giving the compliment. So, just I feel like saying thank you when someone gives a compliment. Just saying thank you is the same thing as like when somebody offers to pay something for you, to give you something you don't have to pay, or treat you to lunch, whatever. It's just like, thank you, and shut your mouth. Like, don't say no.
It is. It's funny because
bad or blah blah blah.
It's one of those things where I think most of the time you're having the opposite effect of what you think you're having. Like when you refuse money, I think most people think, oh, I'm doing a nice thing for this person because they were going to spend money on me, but I don't need it or I don't want it, so I'm saving them money. That's a good thing. But when but then it's one of those things like when you flip it around, it's like if you're ready to give someone a gift, number one, most times people don't give gifts unless they're able to. Like if they don't have money lying around to give you, they don't give it to you. Like if somebody says, I want to pay for your dinner, whatever, they might be putting it on a credit card or something, but they've decided they have the financial means to do that.
And they've thought about it. Like they didn't just
Yeah,
most of the time people think about this. They've
yeah,
made the conscious decision that I'm going to treat, I'm going to pay for, I'm going to give this person whatever it may be. And so there's a lot of thought that goes into it.
yeah. And and it feels like offensive or insulting when somebody's like, oh, no, no, no. And like in my family, I remember like my parents and grandparents used to fight all the time when we would all go out to dinner. They would fight over who's going to pay the check. And it's like the intent on both sides was caring and giving, and it would turn into this toxic fight where everybody would be mad and feeling awful afterwards. And it's like, yeah, that's when you're not going with the flow of the universe. Like if somebody says, I'd like to give you a gift of money, and you say yes, you can feel good receiving the money, they can feel good giving their gift, and you're going with that's the flow.
Yeah, give and receive, give and receive.
I think it works differently with the universe because, as you always point out to me, because I tend to think of the universe as a person, and you're like, it's not really, it's just following laws.
Yeah.
But it is like if I keep telling people, don't give me money, don't give me money, don't give me money, that becomes a vibration.
Big block.
Yeah. And then the universe just aligns with my vibration, which is, oh, Collin doesn't want to receive money, so okay, that's what will happen. That's what he's attracting. Again, I'm talking like the universe is a person talking, but you know what I mean.
I did that the other day. I took my car into my mechanic, and they drove me home because they were going to have it for several hours. And I said, when I came back to pay them and pick up my car, I said, yeah, she, referring to my car. So we do that. So one of my limited thoughts around money is that if I know I'm going to get a large amount coming in, I have this very limited thinking about it that that's all the money I'm ever going to get.
Yeah.
I have to make it last. So I'm 57. I'll be 58 this month, September. And I have to make that last to like 95 if I choose to live that long, and that's talk about restrictive, like my body just kind of hunches in and just like, so, that I noticed that came up earlier this year, and it was like, oh, isn't that interesting? Huh. It was really good to point it out and then just kind of go, oh, okay, that's not true. Just like everything else, this is just a current amount, and the abundance of all good things. So I think it really serves me to notice, those those limited thoughts that I have.
Yeah.
And kind of pull them out and go, wait a minute, is that true?
Yeah.
And because I love what Abraham says, all a belief is that something you've thought over and over again until it became true. You've just thought it so many times that it became a belief. And it's like,
one of my favorite, I
get to decide.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned this early on in like season 1, at least once, probably multiple times, but the whole thing, because there are so many toxic catchphrases or cliche phrases that get said, at least in America, when I've been alive, about money, and a lot of when kids grow up, a lot of times their parents or their grandparents or their aunts and uncles will say these things to them, and they become this ingrained again. But the funniest one for me is money doesn't grow on trees, which now is technically true. But for a long time, money was made of, the dollar bills were made of paper, which came from the wood of trees.
Right.
So literally money actually used to grow on trees. Now that it's made out of cotton and some synthetic thing. But I mean, I think there is still something, the cotton is still grown. Like it's still actually grown from the earth. So, but I mean, it's so funny, like people, like that one, what's the other big one? Like I think a lot of parents and grandparents, what do you think, I'm made of money? And it's like,
So Abraham has, I heard this great one. I think it was at a seminar or workshop where they have, hundreds of people gather and then someone
Hmm.
gets on the stage and they have a conversation with Abraham, and someone had got him on the stage and he was talking about he had this, young child who, wanted a particular thing and is always wanting something, and they're like, when I feel like I want to give it to him, it feels really good. But then other times I'm like, oh, I don't either have the money, or I'm like, I don't want to get this for you. And I don't know what to do. And Abraham's like, well, you're actually teaching this child that you are the one that it comes from. And that's not true. If
Yeah.
you actually teach them that you can have what you want, visualize it, get in alignment with it, the universe is very creative and will find 100 different ways that it can bring that to your child.
Well, as
And
you say, it has to.
yeah, and so I just thought, wow, what if we taught that to our children? What if
Yeah.
I was taught that? What if you were taught that? That it was like, it, I don't have to depend on my parents or my
Yeah.
grandparents or my aunts and uncles to give me something when I'm a child. It's just like, oh, the laws. Okay, law of attraction is working. Is always working. It's working on everyone's behalf. What I think about will come about. Oh, I want this thing, so let me like cut out pictures of it. Let me, now with the
Yeah.
internet, get pictures of it from. So it's just one of the many ways that we can. I mean, I did that with the spa and the deck, um, and I remember my grandkids and my husband at the time was just like, "You're crazy." I had cut out a little picture of my face on, put it on the woman's face that was standing next to the spa, and I literally have a picture of myself in that same similar pose. It's just great because the universe had to find some way to bring me the money and did, and then I bought it. And
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons why I talked about that first exercise, the $1,000 on day one, 2,000 on day two, 4,000 on day three, is because I can really. I mean, I had times in my life where I was like absolutely broke, like didn't have a job at the time, didn't have any cash anywhere, and was very very desperate. And at that point, it was very difficult to break out of that sort of cycle where my vibration is I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke, and then that's what I'm putting out. So the universe is like, oh, broke, broke, broke.
responding,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
And that exercise helps because if that's where someone is stuck, you, in order to have more money flow in, you do have to kind of break the the pattern of setting your vibration to zero or negative and somehow set it to +1 or higher, and it's sort of like, well, how do you do that? Because if you're broke, at least in America in the day and age we live in, like your whole day is going to be challenging because there's going to be reasons for you to spend money all day, and if you don't have any money, it's just you're going to get the feedback of like, oh, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke.
Yeah, yeah.
So that exercise is a way of like, but the thing is, one of the things that's brilliant about the law of attraction, I think, is the law of attraction is just a law. It doesn't go off how much money you have. It doesn't go off like what the economy is doing. It goes off the vibration you're putting out, which comes from your thoughts and feelings only. Only.
Yeah, woo, well
And so
said.
if you can just change your thoughts and your feelings, you can change your entire personal economy. You can go from broke to wealthy just by changing your thoughts and feelings. But that sounds like, wow, that's easy. But it's it can be a challenge if you have a lot of beliefs, really paved in your mind about there's not enough, I can't get enough, blah blah blah. Then it's challenging.
And like it says in those 2 pages, it's not going to come instantly. It
Right,
will take time, but
right,
I trust that the more I focus on this ease and flow and abundance, that
yeah,
eventually over time my vibration will become
yeah.
such that law of attraction is constantly responding, and therefore I'll finally see the physical evidence of it.
And that's where I think, yeah, you kind of have to. At least this is what I had to do. I had to break out of. I had to at least have time in my day where I break out of the present circumstances,
Yeah.
and I don't focus on the present circumstances. Like the times where I was broke, I did have to spend a lot of my day on the present circumstances because it
Yeah,
was like,
yeah,
how do I get gas in my car? How do I buy dinner?
yeah, right.
But I needed to spend time not there, thinking these sort of abundant thoughts so that my personal economy would grow and change.
Well, and suspend reality, right? And
Yeah,
also,
temporarily, but yeah.
yeah, temporarily suspend reality. And also, I love what Abraham talks about is like what I'm living today is a response from what I thought before.
Yeah, yeah,
And that what I'm thinking now is a vibration that is to come.
yeah.
So what I'm thinking now and focusing on now is like pre-paving a future moment.
I think that's the other really challenging thing, and I had personal experience with this too. The times when I was broke, part of the challenge in shifting my thinking part of the day was that if I had spent time visualizing the day before, and I had done it sort of correctly, I got into a good feeling space, whatever, put on music that I liked, whatever, and then just like did your exercise of $1,000 or whatever it was to put myself in a different mentality. The challenge then is, as you say, it's not going to instantly manifest. So the next day when I wake up, I still don't know how I'm going to put gas in my car, still don't know how I'm going to pay for dinner, all that sort of stuff. So it's tempting to go, well, I did all this visualization yesterday. I asked the universe for the money yesterday. Where the heck is it? And then that puts you back on the wrong track, because then you're in the lack, the deprivation thinking.
Well, and it's discouraging. It's
Yeah.
like, this doesn't work. I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've thought that same
So you
thing.
have to get out of the present circumstances for at least a little bit per day, and you have to just sort of breathe through it and trust for a while, because you're not gonna snap your fingers. But the thing about the timing thing is, I think it's different with every person, every situation.
Absolutely.
But it's like the less I worried about it, and the more I trusted it would just show up, the faster it came.
Yep. Absolutely.
The more I groused about, like, why isn't it here yet, the longer it took.
Yeah. I love it. Slows it down. It doesn't
Yeah.
stop it from coming.
Yeah.
It just slows
It
it
just
down.
delays it. Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Great conversation.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. We hope you enjoyed it as well out there in the audience. We're so happy that you joined us for our discussion here today. Please remember, we are posting right now a brand new episode for you every Monday morning, and we truly appreciate you doing whatever your platform allows you to do to support the podcast, liking us, following us, subscribing to us, leaving us a comment, and writing us a review. We just love hearing from you, and all that helps other people find us. All our social media links and our email address are in the description on our YouTube video version of this down below. We wish you a happy and abundant week, and we look forward to you joining us again next week on the next episode of Co-Creation Station. Bye, everybody.